but I think it's needed at all times of the year. And this is one of the most like scientifically backed up, um, evidence based, whatever you want to call it, proven, shown over and over again to be true kind of things. And that is that you are like a race car. You know that? You are a piece of equipment and you are designed for great performance. You're like the Ferrari of species or whatever your favorite race car is. And you are designed to run the race. And the race is broken up into heats. You ever been to a track meet? There's heats, or a swimming swim meet. There's heats. So you got the whole event. Life is like the whole event, but it's broken down into particular races, and sometimes there's heats within the races. But the point of all of this is there's no such thing as somebody who was born and just goes full speed and never pulls over, never makes a pit stop, never finishes a heat or a particular race. And the thought for the day is, where are your finish lines? Where are your finish lines? God designed the universe with a lot of finish lines, because finish lines are important to your brain. The way your brain works has circadian rhythms. We're supposed to go through these rhythms, and first thing that God did in designing the brain to go along with the way the earth works is he made a rhythm of day and night. And you're supposed to do your work during the day, and then you kind of rest at night, unless you work the night shift, and then you flip it. But nobody works both. And then he put the days into a bundle and had a finish line. Not only is there a finish line each day, but there's supposed to be a finish line at the end of the week. And then you cross the finish line and you rest. And then every couple of, handful of months or whatever, he had other finish lines where you're supposed to break and go celebrate. Stop working and go celebrate. In fact, God was so much into this celebration thing, and I always get this mixed up. I don't know if it's in Deuteronomy 12 or 14, but it's in one of those chapters. Okay, get this. I've never heard this. I've never heard this passage preached on. I don't think, but it's right there in the Bible. You can go read it. God told them to go, every however long, they're supposed to have this big festival, and they take their tithes, and God would say, okay, go to this city. And they would pick different cities for them to travel to and have the big party. They had crossed the finish line of that season, and now it's time to celebrate God and have a big party. And here's what he said. You can go read this. It's in Deuteronomy 12 or 14, one of those chapters. I should look it up. But here's basically what it says. He says, you take your tithe. So everybody had a tithe, whatever the 10th of something they were going to give God. It might have been money, it might have been cows, or, it might have been whatever. And that's what they're offering to God. All right. So here's what he said. If the city that I've chosen for you is too far for you to travel, then take your tithe and trade it in for money. In other words, whatever you're going to tithe, go sell it and get some money. And then he said, take the money and go buy wine or stronger fermented drink and throw a big celebration. Never heard that preached on. take take your time and go buy some great wine and have a party there and celebrate God. But God was serious about this finish line thing. You're supposed to chill, people. You're supposed to unplug. Well, now we don't have a finish line on non-work. You got the social media brain cycle that keeps people's brains going all the time, and it's really screwing up some people because there's no finish line. All the sleep experts in the world, when they do all the research, they tell you have a finish line with your electronics. Turn it off and put it away. Calm down, read a book for the last hour in the evening or half hour, or do something else. Turn your brain off. Turn your brain off. Remember, a great leader I worked with one time said that it was so important for him to have a finish line every day at work. He started early. He was usually at his desk by 6 a.m. He said, but at 4:30, he was done. Closed the laptop, closed the books, 4:30 out the door, went on his run, and then made it home by whatever, 5:30, 6 o'clock. He was done. No more work email, no more calling people, no more night calls. It is finished. It's a finish line. Build in some finish lines to your day. Build in some finish lines to your day. This is why it's really, really good to take lunch breaks, morning breaks, day breaks, end of the day. You know, a lot of people, their work never stops. Just take the laptop home and keeps going through the night. They're, just doing it all the time. Now, I realize there's seasons and some kinds of work that doesn't really bother you or whatever, but you get the picture. Your brain ought to be turned off. That's why they leave fields fallow. Remember, every 7 years, you're supposed to leave it fallow. There's a replenishing happens. One of the things that research shows is the highest performers in the world, across all fields, the highest performers in the world all have one thing in common, that they do more than the average population. And this is whether it's in music or business or sports or whatever. The highest performers do one thing more than everybody else. You know what that one thing is? They sleep. They sleep. And they, some people say, well, I'm a high performer and I don't need sleep. I can go on 4 hours fine. And you know what they do to them? They put them in sleep labs where they don't know what time it is, and they let their body finally start getting the sleep it needs. And then they're sleeping full cycles, and then their performance goes up. So they don't even know how good they could be if they would go to sleep. So why don't you do this? Make some finish lines. Let's make them daily, but make them weekly or whatever. But let's make some finish lines for some projects. Let's make some finish lines for a lot of stuff. One of the things that I find very important to do in meetings is if you got an agenda and you got a half-day meeting with your team or whatever, put a time clock up there. You have 4 things you're going to go over. We're going over this one from 8:30 till 9:30, and then we're going to take a 10-minute break. Then we're going to go to the next one. Because if you don't have a finish line, then the work will increase to whatever is allotted, and you don't get to answers. You don't get to conclusions. There's got to be something kind of forcing the performance on the other end. Take a break. Go take a nap. Go take a walk. Have some finish lines. Enough already. Stop. It's good for you. Really good for you.